If you bought a whittling kit from me, then this tutorial is especially for you. You should have instructions, hardware, and a piece of cottonwood bark ready to carve into your own fairy bark door. Let's get started. Please be sure to use a sharp knife and wear a cut-proof glove if you are just beginning. Our first step is to draw our whimsical door frame onto the wood. Place the piece of wood firmly down and hold it. Follow your line. This is a stop cut. Remove the wood in your background outside of the door frame by doing push cuts like this. You'll notice my skin is behind the blade and I am pushing by bracing my thumb against the back of the blade. And because I made a nice stop cut right here, the wood will break away there and preserve our door frame. You can also use pull cuts that gently shave up to the stop cut, like this. Just be careful not to push your blade in underneath your door frame. We continue to use push cuts and pull cuts to remove the wood outside of the frame. When you get a messy line like this, redo your stop cut. Once again, up and down and following the line. And then you can clean up again. Pull cuts, lay your blade almost flat, pull cut, and push cuts. Repeat these steps for the inside of the door frame so that it makes the stones stand out. Use stop cuts, pull cuts, and push cuts just like we did for outside the door frame. Here's another example of a push cut. I'm pushing the blade up to the stop cut, bracing the piece with my hand and using the power of my left thumb to push the blade while my right hand just holds it. Here's another example of a pull cut. You can see that my right thumb is braced behind the wood in case the knife slips, and I'm gently pulling the knife up to the stop cut. Here you can see me gently nudging away at the top of the triangle. If you've made a nice clean stop cut, it'll pop right out. Be gentle and go slow. Always be sure to cap your blade before you change knives or step away for a break. You can use a small chisel to remove some of the wood inside the door frame if that's easier for you. You may also want to use a longer blade with a tip that can reach right up inside that triangle. Redo your stop cuts and then do your push and pull cuts up to your stop cuts until the door is nice and low and your stones stand out. Now mark out your stones and make deep V cuts, first with a stop cut and then 2 angled cuts to meet it. If a piece breaks off, don't worry. You can glue it back on, there's no shame in that, or you can leave it as is and make it look like the stone itself has been chipped away. If you're going to carve bark, you need to know that it's crumbly. It's bark. If you want a wood that isn't so crumbly, that's still good for beginners, try something like basswood, which you can buy at your local craft store. Instead of holding the piece in your hand, whenever possible, put it right down, clamp it even if you can, so that you can push down with your stop cut. And if the piece was to break and the knife was to go through, your fingers are not underneath holding it. So instead of holding it, put it down and use this hand to hold it, but keep your fingers. Don't put them out here. Put them behind the blade at all times. If you drop off and you put a slice in your background, you can just come back and shave a little away and clean it up. Once we have our stones marked out, I like to shave off some of the pencil markings with a nice gentle push cut. So you can see this hand is holding the knife, but my left thumb is the one that's driving the knife from behind. That's what makes it a push cut. I make itty bitty V cuts with the tip of my knife just to give the rocks a little more shape and definition. This creates shadows and helps the rocks stand out even more. Carefully you don't stick the tip right into your door too deep. If you go a little too deep here, you can always shave your door down a little bit more. And do it again on the other side and around the outside. It's one of those little things that you can do to make a carving look much nicer in the end. Once you have your stones all marked in, it's time to draw your door boards. I especially like to use a square for this job so that I can line it up against the bottom of the door and make the door boards 90 degrees vertical. How thick or thin you make your door boards is up to you. Just remember, the more lines you draw, the more lines you have to carve. I'm going to keep this one nice and simple. 2 lines, 3 boards. Now we're going to do another V cut, just like we did to separate the stones. Again, brace the wood on the table if you can. And then bring your knife all the way down the line in a stop cut. And then gently on an angle, just try to cut away your pencil line. That's all you want to do. Just the faintest. You don't want to go too deep. You don't want to have too much of an angle. So now we're just going to run it along like this. And there. Now we have door boards. I especially don't worry about pieces flaking off down here because we're going to add texturing like that to make it look very rustic. It's one of the things that I like about whittling bark. It's always going to look very rustic. One little tip for working up near the stones, I turn the door upside down and I come in just gently like that on an angle, gently like that on an angle, right up against that stone. Oh, it gives a nice look like the board is disappearing behind the stone frame. I like to add some texturing to the door boards. There are a number of different ways you can do this. You can make little V-cuts with your knife and then fill them in with paint or burn them with a wood burner. You can just put the marks on directly with paint or a wood burner, or you could use a marker even. I just put in a little bit of detailing like that. Gives it more character. Sometimes when you're cutting shallow V-cuts like this, it helps to go one direction and then turn the piece over and go the other direction. Again, these don't need to be accurate, perfect. We're trying to make this door look old and well used. I love using a wood burning tool to add depth and shadow. This can easily be done with a marker or watered down black paint and a thin brush. And just like before, with the knife, I like to come in here and add a little definition on the edge of the stone frame. Each fairy bark door will be completely unique because each piece of bark is unique. Congratulations, you have finished carving your fairy door. Now we'll add a doorknob, paint if you want it, and some finish. You can use a lot of different things for a doorknob. In the kit, you'll find a basic thumbtack, brass tack. There you go, now we have a doorknob just like that. Now we're ready for paint and finish. I hope you had a great time, and I hope this video helps you complete your whittling project successfully. Thanks for watching.